will be starting from a very simple thing, your onion, right? Make sure that when you peel your onion, you leave the root side on, because otherwise it will fall apart. It will flatten and it will just remove. So we're starting with cutting the onion in half. I will only use half for this demonstration. So make sure you cut it lengthways, as close to the root as you can. Use your knuckles as a guide. Don't put your finger in front, because it will really, it can hurt you and it can hurt your nail. You can literally chop it off. So make sure you use your knuckle as a guide to do this. So I like my onion finely chopped, hence I do it quite fine. And also I like it thoroughly cooked. I don't like it too crunchy. I will make sure that I put like a good teaspoon, maybe a little bit more than a half a teaspoon of coconut oil into the pan to make, and cover it to make sure that the onion actually cooks very well. So I'll put the heat up, put the coconut oil into the pan and let it melt. So the other vegetables that I will use, as I said, is pepper and mushrooms. I use courgette and aubergine in that recipe as well. Make sure that you do cook them thoroughly before actually adding it to the omelette, because omelette will not technically cook it. So let's see if that actually works. It does. It goes red when it works, apparently. So I will be using some microgreens to dress my omelette a little bit. I love to do that for the pictures. Microgreens are also very nutrient dense, and there is a couple of stands here actually that sell them, and they also sell grow pots. I have no idea whereabouts, but this is where I learned them from. So check it out. On your seeds as well, you will find an extra recipe for pancakes that I've added that is also available in my book. So this recipe that I'm showing you today is actually from my book, Easy Way to Go Vegan. The book includes over 40 very easy, similar to this recipe. So something that you can do very quickly with only few ingredients. My issue when I first went vegan was the fact that every recipe that I looked at had tons of ingredients, probably a list of 30 to 40, and half of them I didn't even know existed. So it was really hard for me to find the balance on how do I eat a tasty food without compromising on time trying to find them, without having to go outside and beyond to find the ingredients. So as you saw, I just added the onion to the coconut oil, so it will cook nicely. So so the ingredients, there was just so many. I wanted to create something that only uses few ingredients, and things that you can easily find in your kitchen or in the supermarket. So anyway, as my onion's cooking, I will cut the pepper. The good tip when it comes to cutting the pepper, cut the green bit off first and then place it upside down. Cut it going from side to side. This will avoid the wastage, but it also will limit the seed and the mess that you will leave on the chopping board, because the seeds will always be attached to the green bit. So cut around it, rather than cutting the seeds off first and then trying to create a mess. Also, when it comes to the pepper, flatten it and cut from the inside rather than from the outside. The outside, the skin can get quite hard, so make sure that you cut it from the inside, because it will allow you to pack it much quicker and much smoother. So I like my pepper finely chopped as well, so I will cut it into slices first, and then I will make small squares out of it. Make sure that as you do that, you don't burn your onion, because you don't want it to go too brown. I like mine, as I said, cooked rather than crisped. So I'll reduce the heat and make sure that it cooks thoroughly. So as you know, with vegetables, you got to add them in order. So the thing that is the hardest will go first, and the other one then the next one. So that's why I'm doing the onion first, because I like it soft. And then I will add the pepper. And then last, the mushrooms. The mushrooms cook very, very quickly. The mushrooms also release water, which you need to make sure that evaporates before you actually mix it in with the butter. You have two options when it comes to the butter. You can mix the vegetables into the butter, or you can put the butter over the vegetables. If you choose to put the butter over the vegetables, though, you are risking the omelette getting burnt, and potentially even just having the vegetables at the very bottom. It will not be evenly spread. So I choose to mix in my vegetables to the butter rather than pouring the butter onto the vegetables. So So at this point in time, I will infuse the vegetables with some flavors. Normally I would add soy sauce because I really like the way soy sauce infuses the vegetables. However, this time I'm just using a Himalayan salt. So I'll use a couple of pinches of sea salt and some cracked black pepper. Freshly cracked black pepper. So stir and let it cook. Yet again under the cover so it actually gets cooked quite quickly. The next thing that I will chop is mushrooms. So mushrooms, I usually will just chop in half and then into thin slices, nothing too thick, nothing too thin either. I like to have the texture of the mushrooms in the omelette. So as you know, the mushrooms, especially chestnut mushrooms, can be quite meaty. So it really does add a fantastic flavor and fantastic texture to the actual dish. What I should say about this omelette as well, it's a very it's a dish that is really high in protein. Gram flour in itself, 100 grams of gram flour actually contains 22 grams of protein. So if anyone is ever concerned about daily protein intake and doesn't supplement with the protein powders, this is definitely a very good dish to add into your diet. And mushrooms as well, a very good source of vitamin Bs as well. So let's make sure that this is cooking nicely. I might add a little bit more coconut oil here. It's mainly because of my pan. I burnt it using one of those hobs yesterday a little bit, so I want to make sure that it doesn't stick too much into the pan. So as the vegetables are cooking, I'll add mushrooms. And as the vegetables will be cooking, I will mix in my butter. So as I said, for the butter, there is only a few ingredients. You need your gram flour, half a cup, and half a cup of water as well as some seasoning. So got my gram flour, as you can see, it's slightly yellowish in color. I like my omelette quite yellow, so I do have a measuring spoon over here, but I will measure it with a tablespoon. I need about 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder into the butter and turmeric. The turmeric will give it a really nice yellowish color, so it will sort of mimic eggs in color, egg omelette in color. So I probably added about 1/2 teaspoon here, and so we've got half a cup of gram flour, 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder, and about 1/2 teaspoon of turmeric for color. I will also add some sea salt to make sure that the omelette in itself has the flavor rather than just from the vegetables. So we're looking at about, again, 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt. Add your 1/2 cup of water and whisk. As you're doing the whisking, make sure you remember your vegetables, because it's one thing that you really don't want to get burned. And you want to make sure that they cook really nicely. So make sure you mix everything often and you don't let it burn. I'm going to increase the heat here a little bit and continue with whisking. So the gram flour itself, it crumbles a little bit. So when you get it, you will see that it has little crumbs. So make sure that you whisk it thoroughly so you don't have the dry bits in your actual omelette. It happened to me once when I left actually about a 1/2 centimeter crumb in it, and it just, in the omelette, it will never cook because it's obviously a dry ingredient. So make sure you whisk it very well. So the consistency of the actual batter should be very similar to what you would normally have for crepes, or slightly similar to American pancakes as well. The thing is that when you add the vegetables to it, it will thicken, and the longer you leave the mixture in itself, the more it will thicken as well. So as I said, very high source of, very good source of protein. I would definitely recommend it to anyone who likes to keep the protein intake up. You can add different seasoning to it as well. I would recommend paprika. Paprika goes really well with it, but then it changes the color. So obviously then you will not get a yellow omelette, you will get it red. So I did that the other day and was quite surprised, and I was wondering what was it, and then it was paprika. So my butter looks really well right now. let's have a look at the veggies. The veggies are cooked. So mushrooms are a vegetable that will really release a lot of water. So make sure that before you mix in your vegetables into the batter, that you evaporate the water. So I'll increase the heat slightly here to make sure that the water evaporates. So you can see nicely in the reflection how it's cooked. But the vegetables are soft. It's your choice. You can actually cook the vegetables all the way through, or you can leave them slightly harder. Slightly harder ones will give you much more texture, a little bit more crunch into it. What you can also do to offer a bit of a variety, you can add some grated cheese into your batter. This will give you extra flavor from the cheese. You can add nutritional yeast flakes as well to it. So I will mix in the vegetables into the batter because I really don't want the vegetables to just end up at the end. I will use the same pan to fry the omelette in, so I'll just give it a white. And we'll melt another bit of coconut oil. Goes on. I will reduce the heat here as well. I will mix in the vegetables so it's nicely and evenly spread across the batter. So it's very important to cook this omelette under the cover so the heat is spread evenly across the omelette and it cooks it thoroughly. I would say it takes about 5 to 7 minutes to cook it from one side. Then you have a choice. You can either put it in the oven and cook it from the other side, or you can flip it over and cook it in the pan. I prefer to have it cooked in the pan because it actually adds it basically makes it a little bit fluffier. I find that oven sometimes may dry it out a little bit too much. So as my oil is melted, I'll pour the mixture over. And let it cook. I'm not sure if that may be a little bit too runny, but we'll see, I guess. So make sure you cover it, increase your heat slightly, and leave it on. So I will be serving my omelette on a bed of spinach with avocado. So I have spinach. I like to use organic spinach rather than any other option. I will chop some cherry tomatoes. I like mine just in halves rather than anything else. It's up to you what you do, whether you serve it on a bed of spinach or your choice of salad. You can just have it on its own as well. It actually makes no difference. For me, the must is an avocado. Avocado is something that I eat pretty much, well, not every meal, but like every second meal for sure. So I can see the omelette's cooking really nicely. It is bubbling up a little bit in the middle. So we want to make sure that it sets really well before flipping it over because you don't want it to fall apart. So in the meantime, I will also prepare my avocado. Be careful with your knives as well, make sure you don't get cut. So avocado hand is one of the biggest issues at the moment, so make sure you cut it that you're safe when you're actually doing it. I would normally use a spoon to scoop it out. Slice it. So you can double the ingredients and make this omelette in a bigger pan and obviously share it. Another thing you can do is you can use the same amount of ingredients, use a bigger pan and make it bigger so it will be almost like a flat pancake, and you can put the spinach and cheese or any sort of filling inside and fold it over. This is exactly how I served it in the book. I made it much thinner And I actually made a recipe for 2 over there, but I put a big load of spinach inside because as you cut through it, the spinach is always on your fork. Whereas if you put the omelette on top of it, you always have to sort of dig through. What would be amazing as well is to have a sprinkle of chili oil or a truffle oil over your spinach first, or over the whole actual ingredient, over the whole omelette. I'll cut some of the microgreens here as well. So I've got my cress and the radish. I love the radish. I really like microgreens in general because they have so much flavor. They add so much flavor to your food without having to put too much effort either. And you can grow them at home very easily. So cress, all you need is like a double-lined paper towel. You put the seeds over, make sure that it's thoroughly wet and it's kept wet throughout the time. And it takes about a week for it to grow. So I can see the omelette's cooking really nicely. As you can see, it doesn't stick to the side. I'm going to have a look what it looks like underneath. And I can see it's cooking really well. So I think it's time for me to flip it over onto the other side. So it looks very well. This is Facebook people, and as you can see, it looks really nice and thoroughly cooked. So I will make sure I'll cook it for a further 2 to 3 minutes. Make sure that the batter is cooked really well. It's important to make sure that the batter is cooked. So you can use a toothpick to check whether or not it is by putting the toothpick inside and seeing whether or not the batter sticks to the wood. If it sticks to the wood, it means that it's not cooked yet. So I'll cover it up. I'll reduce the heat a little bit here and cook it for further 2 to 3 minutes to make sure that it's all done. And as I'm waiting for the omelette to cook, does anybody have any questions? No? Perfect. So it seems to be nice and easy. Great. I'll do a bit of a tidy up in the meantime. So when it comes to the book, this is as I said, I've made out 40 recipes. All of the recipes have a picture, so you know exactly what you're making and what it looks like. I know that people eat with their eyes, so I wanted to make sure that the pictures are there. They're all very simple, super easy to follow recipes. Something that is very dear to my heart. I am Polish originally, so I've added some Polish recipes, which my mom helped me veganize as well. So definitely have a look after the presentation, see what whether you like it. Today I'm doing a special price of $9.99 instead of $13.99, and I'm at the stand B31, which is just literally almost at the end over there. So please do come and see us. Another thing that is very close to my heart is the environment. So check out the bamboo cutlery as well, which is available on the stand. It will allow you to limit your plastic waste. This is something that is very lightweight, durable, and reusable. Eco-friendly as well, so it's definitely better than a single-use plastic cutlery. What we don't realize that every single piece of plastic ever created since 1950s still exists. Every single piece of plastic still exists. It's somewhere either in the ocean, in the landfill, or wherever it is, but it doesn't just biodegrade. It takes over 450 years for it to change into a microbead, into microplastics. So it never actually leaves us. It's a really big issue at the moment, so please have a look at different ways on how you can eliminate single-use plastic from your life, or at least limit the use. So I think the omelette is ready. Let me quickly check. Yes, it is. It doesn't stick anymore, so I'll turn it off. And now when it comes to serving, as I said, I'll serve it on a bed of spinach. It's very important to use a non-stick pan with this as well. So, an omelette. The avocado, I would normally put it just across and slide it over. Your tomatoes will also go onto the sides. Depends, you don't have to use the tomatoes. I choose to because I like tomatoes a lot. And they also add extra crunch. And the microgreens will go over my avocado. Bit of black pepper. You can put a sprinkle of salt as well over the tomatoes and avocado. And my most important ingredients is chili flakes. So this is something I really like to keep in my food, so I'll put quite a lot of them over. And yeah, so this is it. This is the omelette. Very easy, very simple, and yeah, voila. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. If you'd like to check out the book, a copy is available right there. And you have some leaflets on the chairs with the extra recipe for pancakes, which are banana pancakes, basically. So, Facebook people, this is the omelette. Check it out. I hope you enjoyed this. I am really excited to share more recipes with you. So make sure you go to my website, easywaytogovegan.com, and check out the blog. Thanks so much, guys. Have a wonderful day. And if you're coming to Plant Based Life, come and see me at B31. Bye.